Your mindset is the root of your reality. If you can change your mindset, then you can change your life. Welcome, Master Your Vibe. Mind bright, vibe right. The mindset reboot for those ready for some calibration to their vibration. I'm your host, King Yes Indeed, your guide for this vibrational journey, here to help you conquer any mental blocks, fine-tune your inner frequency, and navigate to your higher self. If you're ready to make your mind bright so you can vibe right, then you're in the right place. Let the journey begin. Yes, indeed. Welcome back to the Master Mindset Show, the 7 dimensions of mindset. And thank you for joining me today. And as always, we got a good topic for you lined up. We are going to be talking about tax. We're not talking about the tax like IRS, although it is tax time. What we are going to be talking about is called the people tax, right? The people tax. Sometimes, right, some of you, like you're tired and you're drained and you're wore out, but some of you are tired because you're carrying too much weight from either dealing with too many other things or dealing with too many other people. And that's what we're going to be covering today is, the people tax, the tax of dealing with too many people and not in a healthy way. Like I'm not talking about dealing with, your spouse or your friends or your children. The tax I'm talking about is talking about when you feel like your energy meter is on empty. All right. I'll give you an example. Have you ever talked to someone and the moment that the conversation has ended, the moment that that person is gone out of your presence, the moment that you are free of dealing with that individual, your whole mojo is gone, your whole energy is gone, your battery, you just feel like you lost half of your battery energy, right? Yeah, that's not how life is supposed to be. It's like that person just wrote a whole invoice. They invoiced you, they wrote you a whole bill that just took all of your energy, right? It's a bill, it's a charge, or what I'm choosing to call it is a tax. And so today we're going to talk about the people tax. All right, the hidden cost of certain relationships, certain conversations, and certain things that you are dealing with that are draining all of your energy. And by the end of this episode, you're going to be able to spot it. You're going to be able to identify it, give it a name. And then we're going to talk about how to lower our taxes. Everybody wants lower taxes. I'm going to give you the inside scoop on how to lower your taxes today because protecting your energy, man, that's not selfish, it's smart. And so we're going to smarten up a little bit today. So let's go ahead and get into it. All right. So what the people tax actually is. And what we're going to do here today, people, is I'm going to go ahead and define it for you. All right. Let's define it. The people tax is the emotional and energetic fee you pay because you are connected to someone who consistently pulls more of you than they deposit back into you. All right. Listen, this isn't about being vindictive to people. It's not about wanting retribution or payback. Now, we ain't doing the James Brown thing. All right. I'm not saying that you need to cut everybody off or stop dealing with people or any of those things. But what I am saying is we definitely need to be honest with ourselves, right? Because when the people tax is due, it isn't a set rate every time, right? It fluctuates, it can vary, the charge is different, right? And we don't know the cost until it's paid, right? After, and the way that you pay shows up differently. It shows up in a lot of different forms. And so let's go through some of those forms and some of those ways that it shows up that you end up paying a people tax. All right. One tax is it shows up by people constantly using you to vent, right? But they have no intention of doing anything about it. They have no intention of solving their problem. They have no intention of changing their situation. All right. So essentially, what you are a free of charge therapist, and you have to always be available for their walk-in appointments. All right. And so that's not where we need to be. So that's one tax that you're paying. All right. Another tax, you are constantly being asked to fix somebody, to rescue somebody, or to reaffirm and reassure somebody time and time and time again. So either you're fixing the same person because they can't take care of the issue, you're being called to save them, rescue them, bail them out of a situation that they continually get themselves into, or now you have to constantly make them feel good about themselves. You have to constantly tell them that they're doing okay when you know they're not. You have to constantly tell them they're doing all right when you know they're not. All right. That's another way that it shows up in tax. Another tax, people can be telling you some sly off comment jokes, right? They're just talking about, oh no, I'm just playing with you, and oh, you can't take a joke when you know good and well there's some undertone in there. There is some what do you call a backhanded compliment inside of that joke. And so we all know, I think we've all experienced that before. Another tax is you begin to feel guilty when you don't respond quick enough. Yeah, you are actually busy, and they've either sent you a text or they've called and left you a message or whatever form of communication they are using, and they have expressed a dire need for your attention or your assistance or your help. And now you start stressing and you start worrying and you start becoming emotional because you truly cannot get to them. And I think that is because you know deep down in the back of your mind that when you do finally get to them, now not only do you have to hear about what they need, but then you also have to hear about, well, how come it took you so long? And oh, are you avoiding me? Then you got to deal with all the other shenanigans that they about to throw on top of you while in the next breath about to ask for your help. All right. And the final tax, there's always some drama or mess that you are tied up in because of this person, right? Your name is floating around, your name is involved, and you don't have anything to do with them. You don't have anything to do with their people. You don't have anything to do with their situation. You don't have anything to do with anything, yet you are somehow, some way, in some capacity mixed up in their drama. All right. So those are all the ways that you pay in the people tax. Right now, here's the easiest and simplest way to know how this is going on. All right. Now, check this out. If you suddenly feel anxious, if you suddenly feel a level of anxiety, if a headache just came out of nowhere, if you can't focus, if you just start feeling sick to your stomach or your energy is off, you were probably paying a tax while you were dealing with that person or dealing with that situation and didn't even know it. All right. And so, what we're going to get into now, I'm going to give you seven signs that someone is taxing your energy. This is like those, those Facebook messages that you see seven ways to get rich quick, 13 ways, to ensure that, you do X, Y, and Z. I'm going to give you seven signs. I'm doing one of those. I'm doing seven signs. Um, so that you can tell that someone is taxing your energy. All right. And sign number one, and this is probably the most prominent one, is you feel like you need a whole vacation after you have interacted with this person. You feel like you need a whole vacation. Now, I'm not just talking about a little bit of rest. I'm talking about a full blown, you need a weekend, you need to go out of town, you need to isolate, meditate, pray, smoke, drink, whatever it is. You need to get away from everything and everybody after dealing with this person. It ain't just one, it's every time. So if dealing with someone makes you feel like that, that is a sign that that person is taxing your energy. All right. Sign number two, they typically only reach out when they need something, right? You know, hey man, let me borrow $10. Hey man, I'm really down on my luck. I need help with this today. Oh man, my girl left me. Do you got a moment to talk? Whatever it is, I don't know what it is. You all know what it is. You know the people that you deal with. They always typically only reach out. That's the only time you hear from them is when they need something from you. Not, hey, how you doing? Now, hey, I was just thinking about you. Hey, what's up? I haven't talked to you in a long time. What's going on? Is when you see that number ringing your phone, when you see that number pop up in the text message, when you see that social media alert, if they have your information, you already know they're about to ask you for something. And nine times out of nine, you know what it is. Yes, indeed. Sign number three, your boundaries, your standards trigger their attitude. Yes, trigger number three, your boundaries and your standards will trigger their attitude. So as soon as you say, hey, I can't help you. Hey, I ain't going over there. I'm not coming out. Or you in some way, shape, or form tell them no. Now, you're better than them. You think you're all that, they don't need you anyway now. And my favorite one, my my favorite one is this, you know, I knew you weren't gonna help. I was just asking to see what you would say. That is a classic one. So if you have anybody in your circle that has said, I knew you wasn't gonna do X, Y, and Z. I just wanted to see what you was gonna say. They didn't just want to see what you was gonna say. That now your boundaries and your standards have triggered their attitude. Sign number four, they don't respect your time because everything is urgent. Everything is emergency to them. And I said this in one of my shows before. Someone else's emergency is not your priority, right? Yes, they might call everything a crisis. Every text message is a fire that you need to come put out. And somehow they believe that you are their designated first responder to come to their aid at all times. And you are not. You might work in a hospital, you might be a caregiver, you might do all these things, but you are not their first responder. Sometimes you got to let that message hang around for an hour or two. Let it go to voicemail. That's why you pay a service, right? You are not obligated to be the first responder in everyone's crisis. Sign number five, they drain your hope, and everything to them is a pessimistic dagger in your heart. Like they have no optimism, no no positive outlook on anything as it relates to you. Every conversation ends with no support, it ends with no solutions, it ends with no upward motion, no growth, no guilt, just all, I mean, no solutions. They just they're just putting their weight on you. They're just running their guilt trip on you. They are just a hopeless projection raining down on your parade, and it is slowly, slowly, and very quickly, might I add, killing your energy. Sign number six, they make you feel guilty for growing. And this one is probably the second biggest one, right? If you have advanced, if you have been promoted, if you have moved on to bigger and better things, if you have, gotten into a brand new relationship and that's going in the right direction, if you've made business moves and now you're dealing with different people and you are actually growing and doing better, they will try to make you feel like you think you're better than everybody. They will basically now they are your moral police, right? They're going to try and judge you based on whatever new standards they think you have, right? They missed the old version of you that they could manage. that they could manipulate, that they could talk down to, like they missed that part of you. And so, um, making you feel guilty for growing is one of the most strategic tactics that these type of people, the people that you pay in the people tax. Finally, sign number 7, and this one is for you. You start compromising too much of yourself just to keep the peace, right? What do I mean by that? Right? You stop growing and you start shrinking, right? You silence yourself and you stop upholding your boundaries. So you're going to keep quiet just because you don't want to make waves, right? In certain situations, you begin to over explain to appease other people, because now they feel unheard, or now they feel unworthy, or they feel undervalued. And so now you are over explaining yourself more, much more than what you need to, because you know it's going to make them feel better. You know you're not going to have to hear so much noise. You also give beyond your means, and you sacrifice what you need, just so they'll go away, right? You give them, here, take this, just take what I got, just go, right? I ain't really got this, man, but if this is going to help you, then here, again, just so they will get away from you, just so you don't have to continue to endure the asking, to endure the noise, to endure the constant pestering of the tax, of the taxation that they are putting on you, right? And let me tell you this right now, right? There's a couple of things that you don't need. When you need more energy, it's not more coffee. You just got to get rid of some of these leeches. You got to get rid of some of the vampires that are basically sucking your energy away. You don't need better weather. What you need is less fair weather friends around you to only enjoy the company and only enjoy the good times for you, right? You need some friends that are going to be with you through everything, not those that are just there, just to abuse you and to take advantage of you. So we talked about the signs. All right, now let's talk about what it's costing you, right? Because remember, a tax is on top of what you pay, right? And when we talk about a cost, you got to remember, in this thing, it's not only costing you, it's costing those around you. It's costing the people that are closest to you. So let's talk about some of the things that it could be costing you, right? One of the things is we're going to talk about some of the ways it shows up, right? Some of the ways you pay, and then one of the ways you pay is an irritability, right? For no reason, right? You don't feel like dealing with nobody. You are short-tempered, right? You're frustrated just for no reason. You can't enjoy nothing, especially not the company of, your spouse or your kids. Um, and so, yeah, you just unnormally irritable. Fatigue, right? Fatigue, even after you've gotten a good night's rest or even a couple days rest, like you still feel fatigued because it's a mental thing. That mental fatigue can be far worse than any physical thing that you put yourself through. Don't get me wrong. If you exert yourself enough, you're gonna be tired. But sometimes if you are extremely stressed out, that fatigue that you feel is like nothing else. And that leads itself into brain fog, right? You have brain fog and then you have procrastination, right? First of all, you're not clear, you're not focused. You can't lock in on anything, and that's going to cause you to hesitate. That's going to cause you to put things off to a later date. And so, if that's the case, right, these are some of the things that you will begin to see. Um, Another huge one is the emotional piece of this, right? You begin doing things just based off of emotion, emotional eating, right? You have emotional drinking or smoking. Heaven forbid, you begin to do those things. All right. You could even get to some things like emotionally cheating, right? Just looking for other avenues to do things, right? We definitely don't want to get into that. So again, just one more thing to be mindful of. Ignoring and lashing out at those that you love. That is the quickest way it shows up. And hopefully, if you are doing this, you have people around you that understand you and that are going to let you know right away that there needs to change. finally losing motivation to go chase your dreams and your goals. You've got brain fog, you've got fatigue, you're irritable, right? You're ignoring your loved ones, you're doing all these things on emotion. So of course, motivation is going to wane. Of course, you're not going to feel like chasing your goals. You just don't have enough in you to do those things. All right. And so these are all the ways that it's going to show up. And so if you are doing a self check-in and you are aware that these things are happening, I need you to take note and I need you to kind of start moving or at least recognizing this. And then what you can do, well, we'll get into that here in a little bit, but these are just to make you aware of some of the ways it can show up, right? All of these things indirectly take away from those around you because it's directly taking away from you, right? Your people are going to feel it indirectly, but you exhibit and show those things as a direct result, to them. Right. And one of the reasons this is so dangerous is because if this goes on and goes on and we don't catch it, just like anything else, it can turn into your new normal. Right. So now your new normal is irritability, fatigue, brain fog, procrastination, ignoring and lashing out at your loved ones, and loss of motivation. That can become your new normal. Now, if that's your new normal, tell me what your bad day looks like now. And that's why it's important that we address this right now. All right. And at what point do you stop being loyal to enabling someone else's poor behavior? And at what point do you begin to be loyal towards disabling that behavior, right? Towards disabling their control over your emotions and over your feelings, right? That's what we got to be loyal to, right? Allowing this to continue in your life is not sustainable, right? And as I said, the first people that are gonna pick up on it are the people that are closest to you, all the people that you love the most, the people that, for the most part, have absolutely nothing to do with what you're dealing with. Because if and when the people you love go silent, that's when you're gonna have some real problems, right? You ever have somebody just be like, I ain't just stop talking to you. I'm not gonna keep repeating myself. I done told you this before, so don't ask me to say it again. If the people around you have dealt with you for so long in this state and then they go silent, man, we got some things to worry about. So we don't want it to get there. All right, so we got to do some things now. We're gonna move on to the three categories that these people fall in. Again, we're identifying everything that we are dealing with, right? So what what we got so far is we got the signs of what it looks like. What are the signs that your energy is being taxed? All right, then we got what is it costing you, and what is it costing those around you? Next, what are the categories? How do these people show up so you don't miss it, right? And also so you don't overreact, right? All these categories are not bad, but I want to help you identify what these people look like. And so the first category that these people show up in is they are what I call seasonal drainers of your energy. They're your seasonal folk, right? Good people going through some stuff, right? They got some loss, they got some transition, maybe they got some depression, they hit a rough patch. Um, these people are not using you. They're basically at a point where wherever they are in life, they're trying to survive, right? And we definitely don't want to go away from these people. All right, we definitely want to still be in a space where we can help them, and right, we want to continue to support them because we love them, we care about them, right? One of the things we got to watch out for, those we may have a tendency to give more again than what we should. All right, so with these individuals, figure out what your limits are and stick to them. Figure out what your capacity is and talk about those things. All right, we can love them and not lose them, but you don't want to lose yourself in the process. You don't want to overdo it. So now they start falling in or can move into some of these other categories of people that I'm about to talk about here in a moment. So again, seasonal people, they going through a rough patch, they having a hard time. We want to still help them out, but you need to monitor what your capacity is. Category number two, these are what I call your takers, conditioned takers of your energy. This is a constant imbalance for you. All right. This is a relationship where it's all take on their part and no give. And it's all give on your part, and you are not able to take or get anything in return. All right. And you are always pouring yourself out. You're always showing up. And somehow, some way, if ever you are in need, the favor is never able to be returned. And I think it's sometimes even probably more tragically, like they're not even in a position to help you, right? They're not even in a space where if you did need to call them, then they could help you anyway, right? And so the way, we need to respond in this way could be, make sure you have some very, very strong boundaries, right? You need to limit or at least reduce the amount of access and time that they have to you. All right. Because the more time you give them, the more access you give them, the more leeway you give them, right? All they're going to do is continue to take, right? They're conditioned. Remember, the conditioned takers, they are conditioned to only take from you. All right. And you don't always, one of the things you don't have to do is, again, I said it earlier, you don't have to always respond to text. You don't have to always show up when they call. This is not because you hate them. It's not because we hate them. It's not because we don't like them. It is simply because we are choosing ourselves over them, right? Imagine this. Imagine this is a condition taker who can't help you. You can only help him. What actually happens when something is wrong with you? You can't help him anyway. And what's going to happen is if you continue to do that, you're going to slowly move towards that space where you two are in the same position. And that's not a space where we want to be. So we want to make sure that we set strong boundaries, limit access, and limit our help, right? Just let them know, here's what I can do. Here's what I'm going to do. Here's all I can do. And if that's not good enough, take it or leave it. The final category I'm going to talk about, and this might be a bit of a harsh label, is cancerous takers of your energy. Now, these are the ones who will do anything and try any tactic to take something away from you. They manipulate you. They try to control your responses to everything. They try to chess move and set it up. They'll be disrespectful if they need to. Um, and they'll do all of this in order just to get what they want out of you, and they will attempt to sabotage something that is meant for you so they can have it. They will get it from you on the Malcolm X tip, by any means necessary, right? Your best response to this, um put a lot of distance between you and that person immediately, right? Protect your interest at all times. It's a must. Even if you're able to give or even you want to give, just know the act of giving itself is the problem with this type of person. The act of giving, you give them $1, just the act of giving something to them is the problem. All right. There can be absolutely no negotiating with this person. Whatever you decide, let that be your word. Stand on it. Let it be final. And some of these people I would strongly recommend that you just simply walk away from. Put distance between yourself, put a lot of distance. All right. Protect your own interests. So if you aren't interested in helping, say no. If you aren't interested in helping, walk away. If you don't desire to help, I don't desire to help. Sometimes you might need to let them know that. Because because if you're at this point, then you are fighting for more than respect and compliance from them, which you are fighting for now is your peace of mind, and maybe the peace of mind of your spouse, maybe your children, your parents, your loved ones. You might be fighting for the peace of mind of your cats and dogs, and then I got goats, so you might be fighting for that. Because remember, your pets sense your energy, and so if you off, then they off. They all acting all weird, running all around, zooming back and forth. Might be barking when they ain't supposed to, right? Might be getting real close to you. Like what's they sense something in you that you don't, right? And so you are protecting not only yours, but everybody around you. You are protecting everyone's peace of mind. This is why it's important. And so how do we lower the tax? Everybody wants lower taxes, right? Most people want no tax. I don't know. I mean, we get to no tax, that's great. But at a minimum, we definitely want to lower it, right? So let's talk about something practical. All right. So how do we lower the tax? All right. Let's talk about some practical stuff. Um, First we got to limit access, right? That's what we got to first do. You don't have to pick up every time that someone calls, right? You don't have to respond immediately. Immediately. Again, you're not a first responder. Like, you don't need to be the first on the scene to someone else's crisis, and you don't need to give full access, or your full attention to every single thing that's going on, right? And so, some of the things, you could say is that, I'm not available today. Get with me this weekend, right? Sometimes you just gotta say, I can't do it. I can't do it, but go talk to that person. I think they might be able to help you, whatever it is. And again, because sometimes trying to explain your way out of these things just ain't gonna help anyway. All they hear is no, and so that's sort of the end of it, right? So, stick with, don't respond immediately, don't respond to text, don't give you full attention, and if you can, reschedule at a time where you got some energy, or let somebody else deal with it. All right. Stop being the emergency room, man. It's not your job to triage people. It's not. It's your job. It's your job to transition them, right? You got to transition them to take care of themselves, right? And if they aren't quite prepared for that, then you need to transition yourself away from them, right? Again, you're not an emergency room. You are not there to triage them. You are there to transition them either to a space where they can take care of themselves, or a space where you are outside or away from them. And either one can be good. So again, what does that look like? Hey, I care about you. I'm not the right person for you right now. I'm not the person for you to talk to right now. I can't help you, right? I want to support, right? Or I want you to have real support. So have you considered doing it this way, right? Again, is sometimes it's you can support and you can give people information, but just gently pushing it off of your plate, right? It's subtle. And sometimes subtle works, but with certain types of people, sometimes, you just gotta outright let them know, nah, this don't work for me. All right. Recognize the pattern and then redirect the pattern, right? If they start venting, ask them, what are you doing about it? Right? You complaining, you got all these complaints, you got everything to say, but what have you put in place to deal with this stuff? Right? What have you put in place to deal with this stuff? And then move on from there. Here's one I think is great. Do you want solutions, or did you just want to vent? I need to know which one before we even go anywhere. Are you here to complain, or are you here to fix something? Because if you're here to complain, I give you 10 minutes. I give you 15 minutes. If you want solutions, you got my full attention. Sometimes you got to just put it as simple as that. That way, again, it puts a time limit on them, and it helps them understand that if they are going somewhere just for sympathy, right? If they're going somewhere to have a pity party, like at your house, the club ain't open at your house. You understand what I'm saying? So, uh, yeah, just let them know that. And before, make sure Make sure you always got an exit strategy. Man, this is for my non-confrontational people, right? I know this sounds cold-blooded, but let me tell you, if you struggle with boundaries, this one is probably a good one, right? You know, some of y'all, y'all stay on the phone, knowing that when you're on the phone too long, right? And or you can't hang up or you can't get them off, or they might be right in front of you. They might be with you. Hey, listen here, man. I got I got an appointment I need to be to, so you know, um, I'm here to support you, but I gotta roll out. Hey, man, I got these people waiting on me to do this thing. You know, I would love to stay and talk to you. Not really, but I'm gonna have to get with you later, right? It's for my religious folk. I didn't even know if I wanted to put this one in there. I'm gonna say it though, right? For my religious folks, y'all know what I'm about to say. You can always hit them with the what? Go ahead and say it. I'm gonna pray for you, and God bless you, and, and step on out of there, man. Much love to y'all, man. But ain't nothing wrong with praying for. Ain't nothing wrong with praying for people, and ain't nothing wrong with asking God to bless them. Don't do it in that sarcastic way though. But again, if you need to tell somebody you're gonna pray for them, and God bless them to get out of there, man. Go on and do it, man. Yes, indeed. Let me say this real quick, man. Your exit needs to be part of your boundary, your exit system. It needs to be part of your boundary, especially if you're not confrontational. Like if you too worried about how people gonna respond, if you can't deal with difficult conversations, then have you exit strategy, right? It's the leaving, actually leaving sometimes that most people understand, right? You can sit there and explain it to, the 10th degree. You could sit there and explain it crystal clear. You could explain it like it's a State of the Union address. It could be that good. But it's when you leave that people are like, oh shoot, like he meant it. Yeah, it's like your lack of presence is what they respect, is what they respond to. Like as long as you sitting there yapping, they're like, yeah, yeah, yeah. The moment you gone though, now they understand. All right. So remember, if they disregard your time, if they disregard your energy and they disregard your boundaries, people, then you can disconnect their access, right? It's like what happens when you don't pay your cable bill? What happens when you don't pay your electric bill or your car note or anything that you have, right? That your access is going to be quickly and extremely restricted until such a time that you can make recompense, right? And understand, you know, if you are delinquent on your card note, you don't just owe the amount of the card note, you owe the amount of the card note and then some. So with interest, right? So if people are taxing your energy, if people ain't respecting your peace, if people ain't respecting your peace of mind, then I would suggest that you make them pay with interest, right? Make them pay for your access with interest, whatever that looks like to you. I don't know what it looks like. Um, but if people are delinquent on that invoice, if people are delinquent on the invoice for your energy, man, you make sure you make them pay and you make sure they put a little interest on top of that thing. Yes, indeed. So the next phase is a challenge. I don't usually do this part. Um, I figured it might be worthwhile to see how we do it. Right, here's your challenge for today or tomorrow or this weekend, whenever you have the energy. And here's what I would like for you to do. I want you to write down 5 people that you interact with the most, right? And then next to each name, I want you to rate how you feel after you deal with them. All right? How you feel after you deal with them. And here's your rating scale. Your rating scale is +2, +1, 0, -1, -2. All right. Then I want you to choose inaction, right? Increase time with a plus, add a boundary with a negative, and reduce access for the biggest negative. Again, increase time for anyone who has a plus, add a boundary for anyone who has a minus, and reduce access for the person with the biggest minus. All right. And then just for today, what I would like you to do is I want you to set a small boundary just for today. And this is going to be in response time, right? I want you to delay if you can, if it's not an emergency, delay responding to text messages for 30 minutes. All right. Check how you feel, right? And if you feel relief, then answer. But if you feel still that stress, take note because now you understand maybe where some of that people tax on your energy is coming from. All right, Kings, let's go ahead and get into some reflection prompts and some affirmations. Reflection prompt number one. Oh, and before we get into that, what I need y'all to do, people, I don't know if y'all can see it, but if you don't have one yet, and you guys know I'm big on journaling, what I need you to do is I need you to go down to the description, to the link in the description of this show, and I need you to go ahead and click on the link for the official Master Your Mindset, the 7 dimensions of mindset journal. I need you to click on that link. We'll go ahead and send it out to you so you can go ahead and get to writing down some of these reflection prompts and daily affirmations so we can take them with us, share them with people, whatever it is that you feel like you need to do. If you already have a journal, let's go ahead and grab those and we're going to get into these reflection prompts. Let's go ahead and start with reflection prompt number one. Where am I over explaining to earn understanding I don't need? I'm gonna pause on that one. I need to let that one sink in. Where am I over explaining to earn understanding I don't need? You don't need someone's understanding to explain your position. You don't need someone's understanding to explain your no. You don't need someone's understanding to explain that you are not going to help. You don't need someone's understanding to explain that you need to leave or you just want to go do something else. You don't need their understanding for that. So stop explaining, or at least stop over explaining, right? Again, where am I over explaining to earn understanding that I don't need? Where? Reflection prompt number two, who benefits from me staying available 24/7? That's a good one right there. Who benefits? Is it you? Are you benefiting from being available 24/7 to those that constantly take your energy? What about to those cancerous takers of your energy? Right? What about those conditioned takers of your energy? Are you the one that benefits from being available from staying available 24/7, or is it them? Right? Is your spouse benefiting, from you being available for someone else? Are your children benefiting from you being available for someone else? Man, is your cat and your dog benefiting from you being available and always having to run out the house and go do something for someone else? Who benefits from you being or staying available 24/7? Reflection prompt number three, what relationship needs a renegotiation? Not a breakup. You just need to set some rules. What relationship needs a renegotiation? Meaning you two sit down at the table. It shouldn't be one-sided. A negotiation is two people come to the table. Here's what I got. Here's what you got. One side's in agreement. The other side's in agreement. And then you either sign or you shake on it or you agree to it verbally or in written form. Right. But if your relationship needs a renegotiation, um, then make sure it falls into balance because it's probably lopsided, and it's probably not in favor of you. So make sure you renegotiate those terms. Think about it before you do it. And again, you don't need to run away or get rid of people or cut them off or anything like that. You just need to set some new rules or some boundaries. Basically, that's what you need. Again, what relationship needs a renegotiation? You don't need to break up. You just need some new rules. Yes, indeed. Kings, let's move on to some daily affirmations. And affirmation number one: I don't audition for approval. I stand in my truth. No, we're not auditioning. We are not coming in and requesting approval for anyone. We're just going to stand where we are. And if where we are is our truth, then so be it. So be it. You have to deal with that. They have to deal with that. Everyone around you has to deal with that. You don't need to go beg for someone's approval. Right? You don't need to stand in their truth. You just need to stand in yours, right? I don't audition for approval. No, no, no. I stand in my truth. Yes, yes, yes. Affirmation number two: access to me is earned. It is not assumed. Yes, indeed, man. Don't think that access to me, guy, you gotta earn it. You gotta earn it. It is not assumed. Don't think that you can call me past a certain time. Don't think that you can show up at a certain time. Don't think that you can just take stuff from me without asking. Don't think that you can use my stuff without. Don't do none of that. Access to me, I'm gonna say it must be earned. Don't assume it, because you know what you do when we assume. You know what happens when you assume. You do know. Access to me is earned. It is not assumed. Yes, indeed. Affirmation number three: healthy boundaries protect healthy relationships. I'm gonna say that again real quick. Healthy boundaries protect healthy relationships. So what does that mean on the inverse? It means that unhealthy boundaries, they don't protect anything. They in fact they beget unhealthy relationships. Right? If you have healthy boundaries, it is going to ensure that any relationship that you engage in can and will be healthy. Right? Now people can choose not to engage obviously in the relationship with you. They can choose that. But if they choose to engage and boundaries are healthy, it means that your relationship is probably going to be healthy. All right. That's just the way it is. So again, healthy boundaries protect healthy relationships. And that's what we want all of our relationships to be. They need to be healthy. Kings, my final thought for today is this. You're not selfish for protecting your energy. I just need you to know that. You are not a mean person. You're not an angry person, for having boundaries or for having standards or any of those things, right? You are not obligated to keep paying this tax that makes you emotionally and mentally and physically and even spiritually bankrupt, right? We do want to love people, right? We don't want to get rid of them. We don't want to lose them. We don't want to cast them to the side. We don't want to do anything that, right? Because um, relationships aren't meant to drain you. They're meant to build you up, right? They are meant to help you grow, right? That's what relationships are meant to do. They're meant to make you happy. They're meant to bring you peace of mind. All of those things. All right. And so when you find that you're in the right relationship, you are going to find that you are no longer, paying tax. Instead of paying tax, what's actually going to happen is throughout the course of this relationship, you are going to begin to see a tax refund. Yes, in the Kings, thank you. Thank you once again for joining me on this episode of Master Your Mindset, the seven dimensions of mindset. And before we get on out of here, man, before we get up on out of here, y'all know what I need y'all to do. I need you to check your vibe. Because when your mind is bright, you know we can vibe, right? Yes, indeed. People, if this podcast has shifted your mindset or moved you to change your vibe, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with somebody that you love, somebody that you care about, or someone that you believe can vibe in a new way. leave me a review, subscribe, and follow me on Instagram at KingYesIndeed. Also, if you are interested in vibe coaching consultation, please email me at kingyesindeed@gmail.com. Let's find more personally tailored approach to your vibe. And yeah, I get one-on-one coaching. I can do group coaching through mind or vibe or mindset coaching classes. Until next time, people, check your vibe. Mind bright, vibe right. Yes, indeed.